Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the UK Brand Show. And hi, Penny.
Hello, Mark. We're back again.
We are indeed. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, keeping busy.
You've
Summer
been out doing
events.
live shows, haven't you?
I have, yes, and some corporate ones. So, yeah, people are definitely back wanting live entertainment and in corporates bringing teams back together because been working at home or still working at home. So, yeah, it's good to see the event industry coming back on form.
Good. And you've been running shows yourself in your own business, haven't you? So that's been successful, yeah, with people coming back after, I presume, a pent-up demand.
Yeah, very much so. And what's interesting is there are a lot of suppliers not around, so it's been harder at times to source certain things. But yeah, it's good to see it coming back.
Good. Well, today, Pen, we're going to be talking about a subject which is very on trend, a scary subject as well as an interesting subject, and that is, of course, AI.
It is indeed. I've signed up to Chat GPT.
Yes,
and I've been using it. So
we'll talk about them in a minute. Yeah. So it's an interesting subject. It's a scary subject. In fact, I'm going to share my screen if I may. So tell me if you can see that.
Oh, it's not that scary, Mark.
Well, I put this up not necessarily just to be scary, but I think it just typifies what some people think AI is all about. It's like robots taking over the world, and the same as Terminator used to do. And
yeah,
well, there is a bit of an element to that, I must say, but it's not all about that. That's the thing. So listen. So I think what we do, I've called this presentation the good, the bad, and the downright scary, because there is some scary bits too, for sure. But I just thought we'd start with this very quick 90-second video, which touches on some of the scary bits, but then we'll try and redress that balance. So here we go.
An existential risk to humanity on the scale of climate change and the possibility of nuclear war. Unrealized and unmitigated loss of control. It's not the first time that scientists go through these motions. Think about the Second World War and the atom bomb. People might be feeding in job applications and saying, should I hire this person? Because people treat GPT as this all-knowing oracle, which it isn't. We might wind up with these situations where there is bias there.
I see myself as a unique robot who has a unique style.
Emerging with technology is going to get ever greater in this decade, and that is something that is seriously bringing out lots of difficult challenges to humanity. I am deeply concerned that deepfakes generated in advance of the 2024 presidential election are going to make the 2016 Twitter bots from Russia look like child's play. In 2024, we have major and significant elections around the world, and all of them are going to be flooded with extremely inexpensive, very easy to produce misinformation.
Outsource who should get killed by a drone swarm. If we get to the point where we outsource too much control to machines that ultimately can outsmart us, even if we do survive, the future isn't going to be our future anymore.
The existential risk of what happens when these things get more intelligent than us. We're biological systems, and these are digital systems. We expect things to get better quite fast, so we need to worry about that.
So, yeah, interesting. Point number 4 there, didn't you notice, was talking about outsourcing who gets killed by the swarm, which is an interesting phrase. And it just so happens that I was going to talk particularly about the swarm during this little session now. So I'll come back to that if I may. So, but this is what it's all about. And I think that the thing to say is, it doesn't matter whether you're a big business or a small business, a one-man band business, this is all concerning you, and it affects daily lives in whatever businesses we're in. So it's good to know what it's all about and get a feeling for it, so you have an opinion on the matter. So this is what we're going to talk about today. I'd say, what is AI? What's the difference between what is traditional AI and generative, which you keep on hearing? This Chat GPT thing. Is it the new, Terminator? Then we'll look at, how businesses are buying into it, or maybe they are, where AI fits into their world. what's the user experience, things like for SMEs, how will it change life for them? And this is the scary bit, what's the pitfalls and the cautions around all of this? And let's then look at an industry real life example, and AI and how it's disrupting that world. And, one we're very familiar with, Penn, is the media business. So let's have a quick look at that. And then finally, we'll just put an overall view of where we think it might go. So let's start with, what is AI? And, as I say, this traditional versus generative, and is it the new Terminator? So I think AI is the ability, firstly, just to say up front, it's ability of a computer or a robot controlled by a computer to do tasks that are usually done by humans because they require human intelligence and a level of discernment, if that's the right word, i.e. the ability to judge what's correct or what's not, what's required, and to judge it well. So AI is a fascinating subject that started to sort of perhaps reshape our world in many ways, and it's going to get smarter over time. And the recent buzz around generative AI is being driven by the simplicity of new user interfaces and technology for creating, for example, high quality text and graphics and videos in just a matter of seconds. So whereas a traditional AI algorithm may be used to identify patterns and within a data set and make predictions, generative AI uses machine learning algorithms to create outputs based on the data set. And that's the difference, really. So a fairly recognized name in this space is something you mentioned earlier, that ChatGPT, which stands for, it's a strange name really, but it stands for Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And it's just one recognized artificial intelligence chatbot developed by a company called OpenAI, and it launched last year, and it's notable.
And it is good. As I say, I've used it, and
yeah, it's very
in terms
good.
of generating content for marketeers, it is really helpful. It then needs you to give it the personalized element, but in terms of research and pulling together content, and you're right, you can now do graphics with it. It's opening up a huge opportunity for marketeers.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think the one thing which people say you've got to be careful with it is the trust in it, the security aspect. How do we know it's real, what it's telling you?
Yeah.
So I think going back to what I said, traditional AI systems are powered by algorithms and vast amounts of data, and they excel at specific tasks, whereas generative AI has all that, but it also aims to create machines with human level intellect. So it's now starts to sound a little bit like the Terminator, I guess. So where can AI work in businesses today? And for SMEs, I guess one area that immediately comes to mind is commerce and customer engagement. So, is AI set to dominate conversational commerce and customer engagement? Well, firstly, just a backdrop. AI has rapidly become the dominant force in shaping customer engagement strategies, for sure. And it's really poised to take over conversational commerce in the coming year. This sort of intelligent chatbots engaging with.
I was going to say, we've had chatbots around for a very long time. I remember the estate agency business taking on that type of technology in their websites, 5 years ago. Yeah. So some of that sort of thing has been around.
You're right, and having experienced sort of ChatGPT-like services, consumers are increasingly expecting this level of service. So widespread adoption of conversational AI chatbots is expected as large companies partner with GPT and the like, or roll out their own bots. So as AI-driven customer service becomes rather the status quo, businesses will follow suit and start turning to chatbot vendors for affordable options. And practically, AI-enhanced shopping experiences, for example, will get greatly beneficial in terms of businesses tracking things like behavior and guiding decisions throughout the buying journey, for example, and giving it greater personalization. However, we're not there yet. And currently, chatbots fail to meet customer expectations, and they lack sales know-how, basically. So with greater capacity to handle customer nuances and complex queries, chat GPT-like integrations can improve the most common issues with retail chatbots. In fact, a recent survey showed that 67% of ChatGPT users said they feel they were understood by the bot often or always, and versus 25% of traditional chatbot users. So it is becoming more intelligent for sure, and people are getting used to it. Now it becomes more intelligent, not just writing.
And that just will increase, won't it? I mean, that's sort of the point of it, that it's technology that's constantly learning, so that experience will just get better.
Definitely, yeah. But, you know, where do businesses, you know, fit in? Because they need to buy into all of this. And according to the latest survey of there's a marketing industry trends company called MAP, M-A-P-P, and they were like an international insight-led customer experience company, I guess. So they say almost 3/4 of e-commerce businesses believe AI is the biggest marketing trend this year, but only 18% are planning to invest in the technology. Instead, they say that the top 3 technologies that businesses are focusing on this year are customer insights and analytics. You can see the figures on the screen now. Marketing automation and audience segmentation, chiefly through the collection of first-party data. And we've talked about this on the show before now, you know, how you get deeper insights into the journey by optimizing the experience. You can do that by collecting data about them and then manipulating and exploiting that data for commercial benefit, but also for the customer experience.
Yeah, I think large companies have been doing that for some time, but I think now smaller companies are recognizing the use of understanding their customers, collecting the data and analyzing the data.
Yeah. And, you know, marketers are planning to be smarter with their budgets this year by improving the use of tools and technologies and focusing on first-party data to learn more about their prospects and the customers. So moving forward, having this, what we call owned data, will give us deeper insights into the customer journey. It will be used to optimize experiences on our own channels, and as a primary focus of, you know, this what the customer's spending and stuff like that. And so with that backdrop, I would say the use of services such as ChatGPT to write things like compelling SEO'd marketing copy, emails, and much more, for example, sales pitches for sales teams to advertising clients, is likely to see many marketers start to invest in AI without really realizing it, I guess, you know, because as they look to invest in marketing automation solutions, for example, in fact, they'll be getting generative AI-driven services.
That's what Amazon do, don't they? Because when you've bought things, they will then say, oh, we've seen this for you.
Yeah.
Because they learn about your shopping habits and then email you prompts of other products to buy.
Yeah. So I think overall marketing and engagement is going to get a boost from AI. Consumers are generally quite fine interacting with a natural sounding chatbot that are, you know, that's well informed and which can be complementary to any marketing messages come out from the company. But they need that level of intelligence. And I think businesses are now looking to embrace all of this while they're up in their marketing automation. You know, will then be adopting AI more rapidly and widely across their business, hopefully selling more as a result of it. So I think AI will lead a new world in this conversational commerce arena, and it's set to be a big tie-up between marketing and e-commerce and AI. So there's real good benefits to all of this. So some AIs simply deal with numbers and they sort of collect and combine them in volume and to create, if you like, a swarm of information, and the products of which, you know, can be extremely valuable. And there are already several profiles of, you know, you and your customers and financial and social interactions, and particularly those online, which can be used to make predictions about your behavior. And things like supermarket loyalty, you know, cards are, you know, example of that. They're tracking habits and the tastes of people through your weekly shop.
Yep.
Credit agencies track how much we've got in the bank and how much you owe on your credit cards. Netflix and Amazon, they're keeping track of how many hours of content you streamed last night. Our social media accounts know how many videos we commented on today. You know, these numbers exist for everyone, you know, the enabling AI models to sort of churn through them and look for social trends. So these AI models are already shaping our lives now and will do so in the future. You know, from helping decide if you can get a loan for a mortgage to influencing what you buy by choosing which ads do you see online, and much, much more to come. And I thought what that tackles is, do you remember the film Minority Report?
Yes.
And do you remember the famous scene in it where, you know, this personalized advertising, the guy was walking through a mall and he was bombarded with messages? It's all coming true. I thought I'd just remind you of this little scene.
A road diverges in the desert. Lexus. The road you're on, John Anderton, is the last track. John Anderton.
Mr. Yakamoto, welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
Mr. Yakamoto.
Hey, Miss Belfort, did you come back for another pair of those chamois lace-ups?
You can see there's a good and the bad in that too. You know, Mr. Yakamoto didn't recognize him. I thought he was somebody else. But you can see how it, you know, the good
And
and the
how
bad.
old that film is. That's such a young Tom Cruise.
It is a young Tom Cruise, and you know, ahead of their time or what, really? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's coming
very
true.
Yeah.
So the good, bad, and the scary is part of all of that there. And I just thought from a retail point of view, AI is having an influence at retail level, because Amazon have got 200 stores across the United States.
Mm.
By the end of this year, you won't need your credit card anymore. You just walk in and put your hand over the reader and it reads the vein structure in your hand.
Oh my goodness, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, and they'll be in every Amazon store in the States by the end of this year. And it'll obviously come over here before too long as well.
Well, we've got one store, haven't we? Haven't we got one?
But we've got a few stores, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a few stores here now, but you can see this is where it's all heading.
Yeah.
Use of AI. So if that's a little bit scary, let's move to some of the pitfalls and cautions of all of this. So I think lots of great personalized benefits, you could argue, and some annoying benefits too in all of that. So as we saw in the video there, but it's important to note that I think the use of AI in advertising also raises ethical and privacy concerns, such as the source verification. Now, you were saying before, ChatGPT is brilliant, and it is. I think it's fantastic. But how do we know what it's telling us is right and true? And where's the source? It doesn't give you that at this moment. So the potential for bias in AI algorithms, as per that video at the start, and the collection and use of personal data is crucial on how good it actually is. So advertisers have got to be careful to use AI in a responsible and a totally transparent way that respects customer privacy, as well as, I guess, adhering to ethical and industry standards. And our friend, do you remember him, Gert Leonard? He's been on our show. Well, he spoke recently at the Indian Media Festival in Delhi, and he said the future of AI will all be determined somewhat by the world we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
For example, he's saying if you ask AI now, how to solve climate change, because it's not got a conscience or whatever, it will just say kill all humans. So meaning that we can allow AI to take control of our lives, or we can control it. So he says, what kind of world do we want for ourselves going forward? He says he wants his computer to do a brilliant job of what he tells it to do, not for the computer to gain a consciousness and become sentient and tell us what we should be doing. If it gets out of control, we run the risk of becoming slaves to it. And we could be a subspecies almost to the robots. And that's what the former head of IT at Google says in his book. He actually puts a date on all of this. Basically, by 2045, humans will be a subspecies to robots. Can you believe this? And his boss, ex-Google CEO, was in the video at the start, Eric Schmidt, really smart, clever guy. He issued a strong warning in May this year against AI. He said it's an existential risk, and that despite recognizing the need for regulation, he admitted that he didn't have a definitive solution for effectively governing AI systems. And governance is the key, but anyone obeying the request for a moratorium, which the likes of Elon Musk was saying recently, how do we know that no one is still carrying on doing this and developing it for their own bad reasons? For everyone that's saying let's have a moratorium, is there a bad company out there just saying, oh, ignore all of that, I'm going to develop it for my own uses and own ends? So we don't know how reliable and trustworthy it is yet. So I thought if anyone is interested in looking at this any further, then I'd recommend something to them. Stephen Bartlett, is one of the Dragon's Den guys now, and he has a podcast called Diary of a CEO. And recently he had a guy called Mo Gaudat on, and Mo is the ex-CTO, I think, of Google, and he's left the company. He talks about the dangers of AI, and he said he wouldn't bring a child into this world today if he didn't have a child already, because he's so worried about this is the guy, ex-IT guy, Google, saying he's so worried about what it can do for us.
Well, I thought his podcast was quite balanced. He, like the other chap that you mentioned, is saying we need to control it. This is a bigger situation than climate change at the moment, that we need to make sure the future is about what we want as humans, and that you don't let the technology take over. And I thought his view was quite balanced, although he feels that the world will be radically changed by 2025. Right. So the next 2 years are crucial. Yeah.
So I want to show you something here. This is a presentation by someone. Now, let's just state up front, this is not real. This is a mock presentation, supposedly by a commercial company that's been in the AI space and drone space for years and are selling a service to an audience in the audience here. It looks real. It's not actually real, but it sort of is. But watch what it is first, and then you'll see.
Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. Team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now, I said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy.
Now, that's a little scary, but do you see what was said at the beginning on the video at the start about about the swarm deciding who the swarm kills? You recognize this? This is the Gherkin in London, and I know we've been up there, but at the top of the Gherkin, there's a restaurant, and I was invited to a dinner by this company called the Chief Disruptor. And I don't know why I was invited, but I was. And I happened to be sat, it was a thing about discussing the future. And this was before COVID, just before COVID, 2018, something like this. We all sat down and we discussed about technology for the future, etc. And I happened to be sat next to the head of the armed forces in the UK. And I told him I'd seen this video I just showed you. And he said to me very casually, "Oh, yes, that exists today. We're doing that today." I'm like, really? And do you know what this is? This, you know, I live half the week up in a place called Harrogate in North Yorkshire. This is Harrogate. This is on a hill. Yeah, it's called Menwith Hill, and it's an early warning listening system.
Oh.
And it has a lot of radar in there, and it can monitor things around the world. And it's on a countryside. You can be driving down this country road 10 minutes outside Harrogate, and you come across looks like a moon landing landscape, sorry. And it's the most bizarre thing. But even more bizarre to this, as recent as last year, the Daily Mail ran this story about how UK spies watch bin Laden's second in command from Harrogate. They were tracking him down. They tracked him down through drones, and they were able to identify this guy, and he was sort of number one on the hit list. So they actually had executed him, this guy, Zawahiri, in a drone strike as he stood on his balcony. He didn't know, obviously, there was a drone above him. And this was all done from North Yorkshire. The interesting thing about this, they put this very detailed graphic up on the screen here, and just very briefly what it shows. If you see number one in the top of the middle, it shows they've identified a place where they think he might be. The people in Harrogate, number 2, have identified him. Number 3, it's gone to the White House. Number 4, in the middle there, back in the middle there, they've actually picked where he's going to be and keep an eye on him. We've seen him on the balcony. Number 5, he sat on his balcony. And the number 6 is where the drones targeted him. And more specifically, what they found as he stood on his balcony, they released these missiles, basically, from the drone. This one wasn't carrying, as you see in the bottom right-hand corner, it wasn't carrying explosives, but it was carrying 6 metal blades designed to pulverize its target. And it sort of came down, hit the guy, destroyed him, of course, and destroyed part of the building in the same thing.
Oh, my goodness.
And this was done from 3,000 miles away.
Yeah. I had no idea. I'd not seen that article, and
quite incredible, really.
Yeah. Interesting how it hasn't had much publicity.
Yeah, well, of course, we're seeing it now because you've heard about drone strikes from Russia in the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of beginning of all of this as well, of course. So I'm just pointing that out, that's the scary bit, I guess, of all this. And this is why the existential risk keeps coming out as part of the agenda. However, let's bring it back to earth for a second and say, let's look at a real life example of AI and its disruption. So, and I say an area we're familiar with, Penny, is media. So I think this sums up for me what many SMEs is their situation too. At base one, for many, an inquisitive nature about AI in business, an uncertainty of how it consists, but wondering too what pitfalls are. So big or small organizations, again, I think the issues are the same. So whilst I was in New York recently at the annual INMAR conference, many people asked me about an advertising workshop I did and to explain a little bit more about AI and how it can assist in advertising. So it's an area uncharted by many so far, but how can it help advertising clients specifically in our media businesses, for example? So particularly relevant for SMEs. So what are the main areas, the help areas that can assist us? Well, AI is becoming increasingly useful in advertising, and it can be used chiefly in 3 very specific areas to begin with, and that's to personalize ads, to target audiences more effectively and automate ads. So, number one of the most common uses of AI in advertising is to personalize ads. So not quite at the level we saw in the Minority Report thing there, but it can be done through the use of machine learning to analyze user data and to target ads based on interests and demographics and other factors. That's going to become smarter. Number two, AI can also be used to target audiences more effectively, and that can be done through machine learning to analyze user data to identify groups of people who are most likely to be interested in a particular product or a service. For example, a motor dealer advertiser might use AI to target ads for four-wheel drive vehicles for users who say live in rural areas, just to quote one silly example, really. And number three, AI can be used to automate tasks in advertising where it can free up time for advertisers to focus on other tasks, such as creating creative content and developing marketing strategies. So, for example, an AI-powered ad platform might automatically create and deliver ads based on user data. So overall, AI is the powerful tool that can be used to improve the effectiveness of our client ad campaigns. And by personalizing those ads and targeting better audiences, and by automating the laborious time-consuming tasks, AI can help salespeople to help their ad clients reach their target customers and achieve their advertising goals. So I think grasping these initial areas well, you'll see the benefits of AI in your business from the start. And then once grasped, we can then move into more advanced areas like on the screen, the ad optimization. So it's, it can be used to optimize ad placement, the format, the messaging based on real-time data and user engagement and performance, and can help advertisers improve the effectiveness of their campaigns and maximizing the ROI. Predictive analysis, AI can be used to forecast future trends and behaviors based on historical data. It can help advertisers make more informed decisions about when and where to advertise, as well as how to allocate their advertising budgets. And creative assistance, of course, AI can be used to assist in the creative process by generating ad copy, images, videos based on input from advertisers, and it can help streamline the creative process and improve the speed and efficiency of the ad production.
And that's what iLift Media have just announced that they're going to be using.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. So I think overall, in sort of a bit of summary here, that the use of AI in advertising has got great potential benefit to both advertisers and consumers, but it's important to approach it with care and with caution to ensure that it's used wisely. And we've got to bear in mind the user experience in all of this. That's the key thing, I think, be it an advertiser or the end user. I think AI can assist our efforts, and the pros seem to far outweigh the cons if we do it well. And it's definitely here to stay, so we need to embrace it. The danger, if we're not careful, is that we just believe all it says. And, it could lead to a lot of false and fake information. Let's see what transpires in this next US election, as was said earlier. And then the continuation of the Ukrainian-Russian war, for example. Would you trust Trump not to use AI to his benefit? The very one who accused media of fake news, well, I'm sure will be the instigator next year in the election time. So, but there is good news. And as recent as today, I just happened to find this article. So 7 leading companies in artificial intelligence have committed to managing risks posed by tech, by the tech of AI. And this is from the White House. This is saying that this will include the testing and security of AI, the making the results of those tests public. And these were all representatives who got together on Friday last week, and they were from Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, to quote but 4 or 5 companies, and President Joe Biden. So what they said was the pace at which these companies have been developing their tools have prompted fears over the spread of disinformation, especially in the run-up to the election. So as part of the agreement they signed on Friday, the companies agreed to the following 4 things. They said that they will do security testing of their AI systems by internal and external experts before they release anything. They will ensure that people are able to spot AI by implementing watermarks. So putting watermarks over the stuff to verify it is, the BBC have started doing something now saying BBC verified. They've got this thing called BBC verified where they can check something out. Similar thing, I guess. They say they're going to publicly report AI capabilities and limitations on a regular basis. And they say they're researching the risks such as bias, discrimination, and the invasion of privacy. And the goal is for it to be easy for people to tell when online content is created by AI. So there is some good news around it all. And above all, as I say, what we need to do is bear in mind the user experience. There's not much we can do about the scary bits, I don't think. That's in other people's hands. But it's just being aware of it, which I think is important. But from our point of view in business, it's the user experience which can benefit the most and then can therefore benefit us. And I wanted to finish not on a scary note, but on a funny note, which was to say that the user experience is indeed king. And this cartoon I found on the net, I don't know who did it. There was no source to be able to credit anyone with this, but it highlights the user experience point really well. So very often, if on the left-hand side is probably the media company with the sales team, or it could be the product developer. And what they're doing, looking down on the kids saying, oh, I love this little mobile. It's great. It's really cute, all the rest of it. But if you look at it from the user's point of view, all you see is the backsides of these things. So it's not quite the same thing, is it? So
yeah, very true, though.
It is. It just sums it up perfectly, I think.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's it, really. I just thought it just gives a little flavour for people that are not really sure what it is or what's the worry about it. There are some big concerns from a human race point of view, actually, which we just need to be aware of.
But it's good that so many of those large companies are starting to talk about it, though. I mean, that's actually happening quite quickly.
It is.
You're right. The larger issues like the use of drones in wars is beyond our control. But I think on a small business point of view, it's well worth looking at how we can all use certain elements of AI to streamline some of our work. Not that it means you'll necessarily get rid of people, because they can then be put to other tasks or improve quality overall, because you've got more time, because the AI is doing some of the legwork.
It is.
So I think it's important not to be too scared by it.
It is not to be too scared. And as I said on the sort of one of the last slide there, the overall slide, is that I think the benefits outweigh the scary bits and the bad bits. But if we use it well, and this is the bit we can't control, so we just have to realize to some extent that the powers that be do start to use it wisely. And maybe, as I say, the good news is that all these guys got together last week to discuss all of this.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us up to date of where we are with AI as a world and as a business and everything else, and just treat it with caution. Yeah,
definitely something to monitor, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it again.
Oh, you can guarantee it.
But you're right, that the Stephen Bartlett podcast, Diary of a CEO with Mo Gaudat, is really worth listening to. I think it's a 2-hour long podcast, but it's really worth it. I think it does cover an awful lot. Yeah,
I think you're right. So there we go. So hopefully I haven't scared people too much today. Hope you've seen the benefits more than the downsides. But the downsides we need to know.
We do.
So that's it, Pen. So that's it for today's show. If people want to talk about any of this, and if you want to sort of contact us about their thoughts on AI, and we can relate them back to the show, how can they do that?
Well, we've got the website, ukbrandshow.co.uk, but we've also on Facebook and Twitter. So just give us a shout. Oh, it's not called Twitter anymore.
Oh, X.
X.
We'll see how that one works out.
Yeah, that's
another subject for the show as well.
I was going to say, that'll be our next subject, when it Threads versus X.
yeah. So that's it. So thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you found that useful, and we'll be back with a lot more of the same and a lot more very soon. Thank you for now.
Okay.
Bye.